Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fit Down Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Gay, and today we're going to be doing a new edition here on the show called NFL's Most Forgotten. In this edition here on the podcast, I'll be going through players that we probably forgot that played in the NFL, guys that were maybe one-time stars, at one point in the league, and then they just dissipated towards the middle to the end of their careers, and maybe had short careers in the league. And there's been plenty of them. We all know some of them we've remembered, some of them we've forgotten, obviously, but this is the NFL's most forgotten edition here. So guys that we probably don't remember, guys that they don't come to mind when you think, oh, they play in the NFL, really? Like you don't remember them playing in the league. So we're gonna be going through that here. It's something new we're doing here on the show. So let me know what you guys think about it, and if you like it, drop your thoughts in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to the show here on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Check us out. Follow us on Spotify. We're trying to reach 100 followers there, so make sure you help us hit that mark and grow that count. We're also trying to hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So please, guys, your help will be greatly appreciated here on the show. And yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. Hope everybody had a great Juneteenth yesterday, and everybody's having a great week and a great summer. So now as we continue to move through off season, it's kind of a dead period, and this sucks for football, in college and NFL and high school because it's like barely any news. But we're going to try to make it fun for you guys, and try to make it cool. Just talk about some interesting things. Have some more guests coming on the show. Eventually throughout the next couple of days, and then you go into the next couple of weeks. So try to have some more guests on for you guys, and we'll make it good. So, but anyway, moving on. Yeah. So today's player for the NFL's most forgotten edition here on Jay's Fit Down is Will Fuller, the fifth. Will Fuller, as you probably don't remember, or do remember. Some of you might remember. He's played for the Houston Texans, receiver taken with the 21st overall pick in the 2016 NFL draft. He was the only receiver taken besides Corey Coleman, who went the pick before him at number 15 to the Cleveland Browns. And Corey Coleman, I don't believe, is in the NFL anymore either. So there you go. But and I'll say this about Will Fuller, because when he went to the Texans, he went to the Texans at a time where they were in need of a number two receiver. Hopkins obviously was their main guy there, and he'd been the guy for a couple of years now. I think because he came in the league in 2014. So Houston really needed that 1-2 punch. Needed another guy to come in and get some attention away from Hopkins. That skilled and that could make plays. Get touchdowns, score. Rack up yards. Got another guy, and they picked Will Fuller because they thought he was that guy, that he could be that guy for them. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out too well. Now, again, we'll talk about this here. Will Fuller, again, so 2016 was his rookie year. He was mainly special teams guy. Had caught some punt returns, kickoff returns. Played in the offense, not as much, but he did produce fairly well for a rookie. And then next couple of years, his statistics would increase a little bit. 2017, he had a good season. 2018, of course, still emerging as that number two guy beside DeAndre Hopkins, right? And I'm sitting here thinking like, you know what, man, this might be the one of the best receiver duos in the NFL. Like, they were good. They were good together. People forget Will Fuller was he was a good player. He was a great route runner. He had some speed to him. He could catch, not as good as Hopkins, but he could catch. He had good hands, and he, and especially with the offense the Texans were running, they ran a lot of play action seams across the middle of the field. That's how they. The only reason I vividly remember, one of the reasons I only vividly remember Will Fuller is because when they played against the Falcons in 2019, I believe it was week 3 or week 4. And Atlanta went down to Houston. We lost 53-35. Will Fuller had 217 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. All they did was just play action crosses across the middle of the field. That's literally the only thing they ran. And then you're telling me that you're defense, you can't stop that. But Falcons defense was atrocious back then, as it is now, or as it was past 2 years. Hopefully it'll be better. But anyway, moving on. with Will Fuller. So that at that game I was with that game I was like, man, this dude, like, I know he's going against Atlanta, but like, he's a good player. He's a good receiver. He's a good complement to Hopkins. He is a good Robin to Hopkins' Batman. In Houston, they had a good 1-2 punch with Deshaun Watson at quarterback throwing the football. Like, it was solid. It was really solid. And I'm thinking, man, this team this team has the potential to be, good. And the Texans did make the playoffs a couple of times within that span that Will Fuller was there. I mean, but of course they lost, a couple of times. Lost to New England his first year in the league, in the playoffs in the divisional round. Then they lost to the Chiefs and the Colts a couple of times as well. So, I mean, I honestly think that if Will could have stayed healthy, man, his thing was he could not stay healthy. He had an injury issue. He got hurt a lot often. He played. He played a good number of games each year he was in the league, but still he missed crucial time and time that could have added to his development there and as a receiver, as a potential number one receiver. And it was sad to see that, man, for him, because I was a fan of his. I liked Will Fuller as a player. I think he was a great receiver. I thought he was, like I said, a good compliment. A good number two. Maybe a number one, right? We don't know. So that's the thing about it. And eventually 2020 would be his last season in Houston, but he finished with career highs in receiving yards, had over 800 receiving yards. I believe like almost around 6 touchdowns or so. Don't quote me on that. The numbers right exactly in front of me, but he had a great season that year. And then that's kind of the year when the whole Deshaun Watson stuff started going on, and DeAndre Hopkins got traded. That was the year DeAndre Hopkins got traded to Arizona, right? So Will Fuller was the guy. He was the number one guy in Houston. Unfortunately, Deshaun Watson did not play that entire season. Or well, no, I'm sorry, he did play sparingly. He did play that season, but he didn't play the year after that. That's when he got suspended. So he didn't play in 2021. But the Texans still were decent. They made the playoffs. They just lost again in the playoffs to the Chiefs. Yeah, it was against Kansas City, I believe. And you know, honestly, man, I think if Wolford, yeah, if he could have stayed healthy, he could have been like a true number one guy on any team, or a true number one guy on any NFL team, or number two. I mean, more likely not a number two, but maybe a number one receiver. He was heading in that trajectory. That's where his trajectory was going, and it was heading up that way until the injuries derailed his career. So he's a guy that I think a lot of people have forgotten about. Um, you know, I mean, and then he wanted to go play for the Dolphins in 2021, but he only played 2 games because he got injured, and then they chose not to extend his 1 year contract, so he ended up becoming a free agent. And I don't even know if he's still working out or playing any type of football or not right now. I mean, I would thought he'd probably be in the XFL. Surprised the XFL hasn't given him a call to come work out, try out for him, or the CFL or anything, because he's still a solid receiver. But I don't know if he's still playing any football or not. So we'll see about how that goes. As you think about it, guys, it's so funny. Like, there's a lot of people, a lot of players that have come and gone through this league that we just, I mean, completely have just gone from our brains, right? I mean, so many people, and for good reason. I mean, another guy you can name, Bryce Butler. He used to play for the Cowboys. He's a receiver. He's a guy I think a lot of people forgot about. You can even mention Eddie Lacy for the Packers some years back. He was a big running back, and then he kind of disappeared out the limelight as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's the thing about the NFL is, you have to come in and produce. If you don't come in and produce, and if you're not able to do what you were drafted to do, what you were brought in to do, then it's a business at the end of the day, and you will get cut. You will lose your job. You lose your profession. You will lose that position until you can prove that you're able to do what you were capable of doing. Right. That's how the NFL is. At the end of the day, it is a cold hard business. That's how it is. And that's usually how it always has been. That's how it's always gonna be. Even more so than a sport, it's become a business. I mean, if you look at all the TV deals, things like that. It's like more of the focus is placed on the NFL making money than the actual game itself. How fun it is, which in turn makes them money and the revenue. So it's all correlated, but at the same time, it's like I feel like the focus is not being put on football. As much as focus should be on football, it's not on the actual game of football in the league. I mean, like otherwise, why are we making all these rules like that kind of take away from the aspect of the sport that make it a physical contact sport? Why are we making it less of a contact sport? Why are we making it not as violent as it should be? Football is a violent sport. I don't say that to mean like crazy or anything, but it is a violent sport. It's a sport that is physical. You're going to get hit. You're supposed to hit. That's how the game is supposed to be played. It's a physical sport. But I feel like now the trajectory that the NFL and football in general, but particularly in the NFL, is going is trying to make it less and less of that, and more so just for the gimmickies, for the money, things of that nature. And that's not a good path to go down because at some point people are going to start watching the NFL. Like it might become flag football at that point. I don't know. I hope it doesn't. I pray to God it does not because that's like no, no. But don't let me go on a rant about that because that's a completely different story for another podcast. That's a whole other podcast. So we'll talk about that another time. But this is the first episode of the NFL's Most Forgotten Edition here on Jay's Fit Down. We're going to continue this throughout the off season here throughout the summer. And so you guys shoot me your thoughts. Shoot me some players you like that you think have been most forgotten and that you would like for me to do a video on. Send me your opinions and your thoughts, and I'll look them over and see what I can do. And you know we'll go through that. So just expect more of these to be coming up pretty soon on the show. And thank you guys always for tuning in and being a part of the Jays for Down family. We appreciate you, and we really appreciate if you guys to hit that subscribe button and like and comment your thoughts and everything. Share it with your friends, all that good stuff, and give us a follow on Spotify. Also, we're on Apple Podcasts, any podcast platform. So whenever you're driving, working out, whatever, pop us in, search us up. Jays for Down podcast. You'll find us there, and plenty of material content for you guys to listen to there. And I'm going to be trying to uploading more and more. So latest offseason news, all that good stuff. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that. But this has been another episode of the Jays Sit Down podcast. Again, your host Jay Gay signing off and wishing you guys a great rest of your day. Thank you.